It's day one.
Day one.
Yay.
Hey, Jana, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about our winter woolly winter countdown.
Woolly winter countdown, counting down to the new year.
I'm excited about that.
Yes.
Yes, because you have your very own box. I mean,
I do.
That you curated.
I did. Yes, I have a box called the Shetland Hogmanay box or Shetland Hogmanay box if you're American, like I am. Can you hear that?
Kind of.
Okay, they're vacuuming the room next door.
It's fine. It's
Okay.
life. It's life, right?
I can barely hear you. Hold on, let me turn the volume up here. Because it's super loud. Okay.
It's cleaning day at the Frost house.
It's cleaning day at the Frost home.
Yay.
You will have this every week. That's what we're trying to film.
It's okay.
That's
it's
okay.
Fine. It's real life.
It's life. Life is happening all around us.
So you have this amazing countdown box. Tell us what that word means in Scotland.
Yeah. So Hogmanay or Hogmanay is the Scottish, the Celtic word for New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And so the box is a 31-day countdown box focused on 7 of the yarn producers in Shetland who were paired up with 7 of the designers based in Shetland who designed patterns for that yarn that you're getting in the box.
Right.
And then those designers will be, if you didn't get the box and you like the pattern, those designers will be releasing the patterns on Ravelry as they're released in, or Lovecrafts or wherever, their website, as they're released in the box.
Nice.
And then, and there's like little gifts along the way.
And we'll have links to these things in the video description as we go.
Absolutely. So this is the inside of the box.
Ooh.
And this was a little message saying, congratulations on getting the box. Don't open it any further until December 1st. And I had people message me to say, I couldn't resist. I did the first one, or I couldn't resist. I did the first 3. So some people did get a jump on the box, but it's your box. It's your box. I just ask that people not post it on social media and spoil the surprise for other people. Well, that's all I asked.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
and I will admit I am a little tempted to look ahead on my box just because I'm trying to decide if I'm going to knit along each day like you did last year or not.
Right.
So I don't know yet. We'll have to stay tuned to see about that.
I know what the projects are in the box, and so I know better than to try to knit them as we go this time.
Okay.
So I will not be knitting them as I'm going to cast on several of them as we go, but I'm not putting that pressure on myself to finish them.
Right.
You're
not like trying to keep up. And I haven't quite decided. I haven't decided what I'm going to do because when my oldest daughter was home from college for Thanksgiving week, she found a sweater she wants me to make for her. And I'm like, So if I don't try to knit along, I could start her sweater. And I may opt to do that. I'm going to think about that today and decide.
Yeah.
So
I have 3 projects on the needles right now that I want to be knitting. And so I want to do them. I want to have them done. And so those are my priority knits right now. But there are a couple projects in here that I also want to be knitting. So as I open those, I'm going to go ahead and cast those on.
And then you'll have more whips like me.
I'll have more works in progress, but also some of the things, like one of the things on my needles right now is a hat for my dad. I always knit him a hat for Christmas. And that should be off the needles in the next couple of days. And so that'll open up some space, some knitting space time for him.
And I also, my other daughter, who's a senior, if you remember 2 years ago, when I podcasted with Amber O'Brien for the whole countdown thing, I knitted the Radvent throw for my oldest daughter because she was going to college that following fall. And so now the younger one's like, well, I want a blankie. So I got to decide.
Yeah.
So stay tuned to see what I'm going to do or not.
Yep. We have time. We have time to decide.
Yeah. So I'm excited. So I'm going to open.
Tell me, I was going to say, tell me about the box you have.
Okay. So the box I have a couple of boxes, and you'll see an interview tomorrow with Lauren from A Girl in Her Wool. She's closing up her shop. We'll talk about that tomorrow. So I do have her Advent box, but I haven't decided what I'm going to do with that yet. But for sure, I'm opening on the channel the Indie Untangled C2C to 2023 box, which is a road trip collaboration. And you'll hear about that today. Our podcast interview today is with Lisa from Indie Untangled, and you'll see the inspiration for that box. So I'm opening that one on the channel. That's 31 days of contributors, which are, some of them are, most of them are independent yarn dyers. So they've all contributed mini skeins from whatever state that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really neat. And then there's a pattern at the very end that you use with all the minis. And I may or may not use that pattern. I haven't decided anyway.
Well, and that's, I mean, if you're going to do that pattern, you have to wait until the box is done, because it doesn't release until the last day.
And I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah. So that is a quandary for you to deal with.
This is one reason why people might look ahead. Because
I know it's driving you crazy.
It is, because my younger daughter wants me to do the Habitation Throw by Helen Stewart, which is a fantastic thing. And it's knitted on the bias. It's a square afghan, and so it's fantastic to use for all your little minis as you go along. I don't know, so we'll have to see what I decide.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Yay. Should we do this?
Yes.
Okay.
You go first. I'm excited.
So first of all, these are all, these packets here have the patterns and gifts and information about Hogmanay in them.
Okay.
So those are all in there for people. So don't peek at those, people.
So are those interspersed with numbers, like in order of when you're supposed to?
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I stamped the stickers. Okay. Can you see? So it says like number one.
Number one.
And then number two, that's for tomorrow.
Okay.
Clearly. Okay. So here we go.
And you already know what they are, but do you remember them all?
I do, but I don't remember necessarily what order they get in,
Yeah.
So the first one we have is Jameson's Ultra from Jameson Smith. So this is a 2-ply lace weight wool. And this is their color opal.
That's beautiful.
And you can see that's actually coming through pretty accurately on my screen right now. So you can see it's a mix of like white, blue, and purple.
And that's 25 grams.
25 grams. And so it's 194 meters. So this is day one. This is our first, let me get the label there. Okay. This is our first yarn for the box.
Nice. Okay.
I need to get like a basket to put these in while I'm doing this.
I know. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I might hang mine up somehow. I don't know. Well, it depends if I decide to knit as I go.
That's true. Okay. Oh, cute.
So day one is from Rhode Island. This is Jilly and Kiddles. And unfortunately, she's closing up her shop as well.
Oh.
Well, and I think what happened, she had some health issues. She did a blog post, which I'll try to find a link to, but she has some health issues related to the dyeing process.
Oh, no.
So I don't know if it's an allergy or what, but anyway. But the point of the C2C is it was a road trip thing, so you can look on the map that's in the trailer of the video. And so we're starting on the East Coast and we're going to head west.
Right.
On our trip and then loop back around.
Come back, right?
Yeah. So these are dyers along the way. So we're starting in Rhode Island. And there were inspiration photos that each dyer used and worked with. And supposedly they all work together. Woo!
Oh, that's pretty.
So this is Fancy Sock Mini, 20 grams, 87 yards, 85% superwash merino, 15% nylon. And it's called Road Trip, as in road like Rhode Island.
Rhode Island. Oh, that's clever.
Very soft.
Nice.
Ooh, so it's kind of a darker fallish orange. Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate. It might look more orangey on the screen than it does in, it's more fall than orange sherbet color. So,
Okay.
yeah, that's lovely.
Nice.
Oh,
Beautiful.
it's nice. I want to cast on right now.
I know.
I might. We'll see. Stay tuned to see what we decide. We'll see what my daughter
Someone's got to be the crazy knitter this year. Last year it was me. I did that ginormous unicorn tails. I don't have it in here. Scarf.
Yeah, but that was crazy, and it was and at the end you had this whole theme.
Yeah, and it was done, and I loved having it done, and all of them were done and out of the way. You know, like it was just my project for December.
So we'll see, because the habitation throw, the pattern uses 10-gram minis, and it ends up being like 40 inches square, but these are 20 grams.
Yeah, so you could do, you could make it bigger, more
that
like
would be a good size thing.
Yeah. So I was just looking yesterday, and I think a lapgan is like 30 by 46 or 32 by 46. Mm-hmm. So you'd probably be able to get like a proper Afghan size out of.
Yeah, and I think when I did that before, the Radvent throw that I did for my daughter ended up being, those were about 10 inches square, or maybe, well, yeah, I think they were 9 or 10 inches square, and they were, I think it was 4 by 5 of those, and then the border. So whatever that was, like, yeah, like probably 40 inches by 45 or 50 inches long.
Yeah.
But this would be, yeah, I know people have figured out how to make that a rectangle rather than square, but I'd probably just make it square.
And now you have me thinking I need to be making a Afghan for my youngest.
Because she's going to college.
Because she got into college.
And you just found out today. Out today.
This morning before we recorded, she works at a Starbucks and was on her break and checked and found out she got accepted to her first choice college. So
that's amazing. Go ahead and say what college it is.
Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, where she is going to be studying fashion design, which is something she's wanted to do since she was 7. And just saying that, like, the mama tears are starting to form,
she's grown up.
She has been working on this for years, wanting to get into, like, just move on and start studying fashion. She has been wanting to do this. And we had this moment, Jana, she like called me back. So she called me on her break.
Yeah.
And then she called me back because she's like, I'm cleaning the bathrooms, Mom. I probably shouldn't be on my phone, but how will they know? So, so she's telling me, she's like, Mom, she's, so kind, because I homeschooled them, and so she's like, Mom, this wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for you. You taught me, all this stuff. And I'm like, and I was like, Abby, I will tell you what, teaching you for 10 years was nothing compared to the 30 minutes of work I had to do on your college application. I was like, don't make me do paperwork. Don't make me do paperwork.
I know. We're about to fill out a bunch of paperwork for like the FAFSA thing.
Yeah.
You have to do that to apply for scholarships. And my youngest is headed off to college and she got her acceptance letter yesterday. It's just to the state school, but she really wants to go to the University of Wyoming because her sister's over there. And they have, for being Wyoming, they have a pretty good theater and dance program. And she's all about theater and dance.
That's awesome.
We have a couple of liberal artsy kids, don't we?
Yeah. Well, and as the homeschool mom, so I should say I didn't fill out my daughter's college application for her. As the homeschooling mom, I was the counselor. I had to do the counselor recommendation. I had to do the transcript information, like all this stuff. Like we were in that together. So I just didn't want that idea to be out there that I was like, no, I mean, I'm beyond writing college essays. I will not be doing that for my child. No,
I have to do a couple of things, but my kids do a virtual academy that's a public school program. It's accredited. So they actually have like, teachers that will do their letters of recommendations and the counselor and whatever. But I just had to, but she had to write an essay to apply for the honors college. And it's just been, you sit there and drink your coffee and you sit at the table with them and you're supportive and you do all that, But yay!
Yeah, I'm
Congratulations.
super psyched. High fives to both of us. Good job, parents. Way
Yes.
to get kids into schools.
Hooray. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
So on that note, we're super happy. It's the first day of December
First day.
season.
Lots of good things happening.
So our interview today is with Lisa from Indie Untangled, and she talks with us about her inspiration for the Indie Untangled box.
Which I think is such a great concept. I love this concept for a box. Yeah.
Fun. So we hope you'll join us tomorrow.
Yeah. Bye, guys. See you tomorrow.
Bye. Hey, we are here on day one with Lisa from Indie Untangled. She curated the box that I'm opening this year, so I'm really happy to have her back. I did the Indie Untangled box last year as well. And so and that was the New Year's, if you remember, that was the National Parks countdown box. And so when I saw there was going to be another one, I was like, yay, gotta have it. So, and the theme is really cool. So welcome, Lisa from Indie Untangled, and we'll put your links to all your social media and your website down below in the video description. But tell us about Indie Untangled first, and then the inspiration for this year's box.
Sure. So thank you for having me. So Indie Untangled, I started it about, I guess it's 9 years ago. And it started off as a website, so online marketplace for keeping track of indie dyers and makers in the knitting and crochet community, and just providing a way to keep track of all their shop updates. And Instagram was a thing, but it wasn't quite yet the thing that it is in the fiber community. And Indie Untangled has evolved to include in-person events, and I have an online shop as well where I partner with indie dyers and makers to create items, special items for the shop, and things like the New Year countdown box.
I was so happy when I got that in the mail. So tell us about this year's Sea to Seed in 2023.
So it was inspired by a cross-country road trip. So I have always, or for many years, have wanted to do a cross-country trip. And I think also, like during the pandemic, that only intensified just because we were cooped up, and that seemed just like the best thing to do to sort of shake off that feeling of being in the house all the time. So my husband and I kind of started talking about it. I guess it was like 2021. And put it off to the next summer just because things were still a bit uncertain. And then over this past summer, I had the opportunity to be at the H&H America's trade show, which is, so it's basically like a big, it's for yarn as well as other soft crafts like sewing and needlepoint. So I had put together this Indie Untangled pavilion of smaller companies that were looking to wholesale but didn't want to invest in an entire booth. So we had kind of a cooperative space, and that was in the Chicago area. So it seemed ideal to do a cross-country trip kind of around that. And it turned out to be a really good decision because there were this past summer, there were just so many flight delays and headaches with that kind of travel. And so it was a much more relaxing way to.
Driving is always better, in my opinion. I'm just saying, Anne, I mean, unless you have to cross the pond, driving is good. You know, you can have your snacks and you don't have people you don't know.
Flying. Yeah.
Well, I'm not afraid of flying. I just don't like people that close to me, and I don't like sharing that much air with the general public. But I have messed up our order of questions, so sorry, Anne.
That's fine.
Well, Lisa, I'm just curious, with what you do, you're working with so many people, and I'm curious how you decide who to have involved with Indie Untangled, because there are so many hand dyers out there. And how do you decide who to work with?
So it's, I guess, multiple different ways I approach it. So with the C2C New Year box, it was, I mean, it was still challenging, but it was a little easier because I had a clear vision. You know, I wanted 24 dyers from a good number of or a good representation of the country. So so people from the Northeast and the West, or the Midwest, the West, the Southwest, and the South. So I basically I reached out to some dyers I had already worked with, either because they have posted on the Indie Untangled marketplace before, or I've collaborated with them. I have a series called Knitting Our National Parks, which kind of ties into last year's New Year box theme. And yeah, so I reached out to those folks and found the ones to represent their areas. And then I basically did like a bunch of Google searches and tried to find dyers to fill in the blanks. And so the route sort of hews sort of closely to the route that my husband and I took, although, you know, we didn't go to California. We spent more time in the Pacific Northwest and then kind of cut through. But it was really cool because I found out about a lot of dyers that I hadn't heard of before. So usually with India, yeah, exactly.
I'm like, oh, I need that and that and that.
Usually with Indie Untangled. So I work with dyers that I find on Instagram whose aesthetic I like, whose values I like. Or I'll work with somebody who posts to the marketplace, and you know, I'd never heard of them before and I'm intrigued, or they apply to the Rhinebeck show that I do. So yeah, so it's kind of a combination of me seeking people out and wanting to work with you know, certain people that I'm drawn to, and then others who I just find out about because they decide to work with me.
Cool.
Excellent. That's very good to know. I think a lot of times with people, like a situation like this, you know, they see you doing what you're doing and they are maybe a little nervous to approach you, you know, so that's interesting to hear. Like you're grabbing people all different ways, including people talking, you know, initiating that conversation. So that's great. Yeah.
Nice.
So we have a question we are asking all of our guests during our December vlog event, because knitting is so you know, so many of us are still looking at our hands. And so we like to multitask as we're doing our knitting, either by listening to audiobooks or watching TV. And so we're asking everyone for recommendations. If there's anything in this last year that you really enjoyed as an audiobook or as a streaming video, do you have any recommendations for us?
Sure. So I like to read actual books. So I have done audiobooks in the past, but it's just I like the feeling of something in my hands. And with audiobooks I tend to, I mean, it depends on the story, but I tend to like more easily zone out, whereas when I'm reading a page, I'm more immersed in the experience. But I do like listening to podcasts. So one of my favorites is You Must Remember This, which is so it's about Hollywood's first century, but they also so Karina Longworth, who produces the podcast, she's also done like 80s, and I think she's going to start doing 90s. But yeah, it's fascinating, and I kind of skip around. There are a lot of seasons, but I recently finished up or close to finished a season on the Blacklist in the 50s. Wow. So, and it's just really interesting. And she goes back into the background of a lot of the actors and actresses and producers, and it's a fascinating podcast.
Awesome.
And I do
really
listen to / watch a lot of TV. So I just started season 5 of The Crown.
Yes.
Which is just fascinating. It took me a little while to get into it. Like I started the first season, a few years ago, and then I don't know, I had to kind of stick with it.
I have not started season 5 yet, so I might have to. Yeah, I haven't.
It's like the stuff that we lived through, Jana. Now, like we're firmly into like late 80s, early 90s.
Oh, okay.
And I'm watching it with my youngest, and like I keep being like, I remember when this happened, you know, and like, oh, that was all over the news, and I'm ridiculous as I watch that show.
That's okay. That's cool. Yeah, that's a good one. For sure. I wanted to watch. I was trying to get my husband to watch it, and we just haven't had time, but we were starting at the very beginning with season 1 because he hasn't seen it. And so I thought, well, let's watch them all over again, because, you know, you always miss stuff, especially if you're knitting, you know, maybe you're only halfway paying attention, or, so that's been kind of fun to start over. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I find myself Googling things like, oh, let's find out like the real, you know, the real story, quote unquote.
Right.
Since this is more of a dramatization.
It's true. From what I've heard from reviews that I've read, though, it does historically stick pretty close to how things actually occurred.
Right.
So anyway, kudos to Netflix.
Yeah. And I also like Never Have I Ever. I finished, or I kind of binged that this past year. It's Mindy Kaling from The Office created it. It's about an Indian teenager in California and her friends, and it's just like a high school sort of comedy, and it's really cute and just like lighthearted, and but you know, it still covers, you know, heavy teenage things, but in a lighthearted way, and it's just a cute show. I think cute is a good way to describe it.
That's cool. I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to look for that one.
So tell us what, if you can, I mean, I don't want you to spoil anything, of course, but if you can tell us what is coming up for Untangled in the new year.
So I'm gonna continue the Knitting Our National Parks series. So that comes out every so it's every 2 months. So the next installment will be next month, so in December. And then so after that it will be February, and then April. So those are always exciting. So that's kind of similar to like last year's New Year box, and in a way this year. So it's yarn colorways based on photos.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so by the time this airs, the December one will be coming out shortly.
Right.
Yeah. And then, yes. So then even numbered months.
Yes. Yeah. I guess it is. Yeah. I didn't even think of it. It's just every other month.
Cool.
So I think this will be, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's December 9th that will be available. So, and the National Parks colorways, they're always available for a 2-week pre-order. So for 2 weeks in that month, and then they ship out at the end of the following month.
Awesome. So we'll put a link down below for the page for that, because when this airs, that's only going to be a week away from when people can order.
Exactly. And it's always a good idea to subscribe to the Untangled newsletter. And there's a form at the bottom of the homepage, and then kind of on every, or almost every page of the website, where you can sign up. And I send a newsletter out every Friday. And you know, I try. Yeah, that's right.
That one.
Cool. So I try to make it kind of conversational, and it's definitely very well, I don't know if this is a word, enably, if that's a word, but it's just it's always fun to kind of see what's out there, and you know, beyond what the algorithm is showing you on social media.
And it's a good way to find new and support small businesses and independent dyers that maybe you haven't heard of. I mean, I found several people through you, so that's wonderful.
Yeah. And there are a couple of things, like I can't really provide too many details. They're sort of in the planning stages. So one of them is a retreat that I'm working on. It's taking place in the Pacific Northwest. I'm still finalizing the details. So it's I had been organizing a retreat there for 2020, but we all know what happened there. So now we're a few years out, and I'm looking to revive it. So that's in the planning stages, and then that would be in the summer. And then I'm also in the very beginning stages of organizing a small event, and I'll just say it's somewhere down south. So if you have any,
so people need to watch your Instagram, get your newsletter, make sure you're hanging on and watching what happens. Yeah, because that sounds like really fun stuff.
Yep. I wish I could say more, but
I really want to go to a retreat that I don't plan. Just saying.
Have you done retreats before?
Yes, but I want to go to one that I don't have to do the work, where I can attend and enjoy, and not have to be the one teaching and doing all the work.
Right.
That'd be fun. And I'm just saying.
I know. I'm thinking the same thing. It would be nice to just go and just be at one instead of running one.
We could do that.
It's not too far of a drive from Wyoming.
You could fly to Denver. We could get on a plane. We could get in the car. I come get you, and then we'll drive from there.
Yeah, car trip. Woo! Road trip.
There you go.
Okay, cool. Lisa, we'll be watching to hear about that for sure.
Yeah, we'll have to watch for details.
Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Thanks, Lisa. It's good to see you again.
Same here.